Do not confuse loving God and others with observance of certain religious requirements. Do not confuse loving God and others with observance of certain religious requirements. The love God has for us, which we've received in and through grace and Jesus Christ, must not be used in the service of power, prestige, and exclusion. Loving God and others is at the core of the Reformation. Martin Luther, John Calvin, and Ulrich Zwingli all were compelled by the love of God and love for others to challenge the ritual observances of Catholicism in the 16th century. Leviticus 19, which was read, and Psalm 1, which was read earlier, confirm the point in the gospel message that was just read now. Loving God and others is not observance of certain religious requirements, but imperative behavior. What moved Martin Luther and John Calvin and Ulrich Zwingli to change the church was a love for God and others that was not about observance, but was about a behavior of reaching others with that love and good news of God that we know in Jesus Christ and we experience by grace. To love God and others is imperative. How we do that in our words and deeds is how others will come to know God, will come to even ask questions about God, will possibly overcome skepticism that they have. Loving God and others is not about checking off the list of religious observances. Loving God and others is an imperative. Jesus himself said, the greatest commandment is to love God and others. Oh, there's 10 of them. I'm paraphrasing now. Jesus talking to the Pharisees, answering that question. Oh, there's 10. You want to know the greatest 2? Let me just summarize them for you. Love God and others. Don't start with judgment. Don't start with ridicule. Don't start with dismissing others. You love God, and as you have been loved by God, you will be able to love others. Isn't it amazing how disarming love is? When you were first encountered by God's grace, wasn't it disarming? Wasn't it freeing to know that you were loved just as you were? That all those days and months and weeks of trying to overcome and earn God's love, God's grace was so disarming. Jesus Christ, the one who showed the way, offered belief in him, modeled unconditional love to everyone. When he grabbed your heart and your mind, wasn't that love for you disarming? Yes, this is Reformation Sunday. We celebrate the 500th anniversary of Martin Luther posting his 95 Theses on the castle church door, October 31st, 1517. Have you reformed your understanding of sola gratia, only grace, and solo Christo, only Christ, when it comes to your participating in God's mission? Martin Luther was so captured by only grace and only Christ that he stepped out and challenged his church, of which he was a priest. And when he was examined and asked to recant of his beliefs, when Eck asked him to recant, Martin Luther stood and looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Here I stand. This is all I can do. Here I stand. I can do no other. Only grace. Only Christ. Not ritual observance. Only a dynamic interaction with this Jesus and this grace that God is giving. We can't earn it." So that Reformation that began 500 years ago is quite significant, but I think we, as followers of Jesus, as followers of God, we need to reform. We need to lead with grace and lead with the love of God that we know in and through Jesus. You know, I.T.P.C and Geneva Presbyterian churches, we're both saying, "Here we stand." Let us love. Let us lead by loving, inviting others to experience the good news of this God we worship. Amen.